so I had to go through the rigmarole. But they're all out now. It's up to God now.
Well, I'm glad you got some good prices. You got how much? You got $300 for that Mondo?
Yeah.
It's good. It's awesome. See, it all worked out. It all worked out.
Timing, you know.
Because I know you felt bad. You didn't.
I was gonna let it go for 75.
That guy probably would have flipped it right around.
I don't think he knew what the deal was.
I think he knew what was up. I think he was playing dumb. Although if he was playing dumb, he would have gone and bought it. So you're right. I don't think he knew, because if he knew, he would have bought it, because that was a really good price.
Yeah.
Like really good price.
And the Iron Giant went for like 180.
Oh yeah, we were at Long Beach and I saw one of those for sale for 150. So I was going to tell you that, and then I forgot.
The Tell 'Em Steve Dave record went for 300 too.
Yeah, those are very valuable, because and Tell 'Em Steve Dave fans,
it was the red one.
They love those records. I wish I had more money. I almost ordered, because Mondo they're doing a pre-order for Luke Cage soundtrack on vinyl, and it's like yellow and it looks awesome, but I don't really have money right now to spend on that kind of stuff. Got student loan payments. I'm trying to pay my student loans every month, because since I'm a public servant now, if I pay 120 payments, so 10 years, then I get my student loans forgiven.
All you have to do is make 120 payments?
Yeah.
Does it matter what the minimum is?
Well, it has to be like the minimum payment.
Okay.
But it's income based. It's right now it's $200, which isn't bad since I don't have a car payment or anything. But
so that's your way out, your light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, that means I have to work this job for 10 years, or at least work in the school world, which I guess is fine. But I just feel kind of boxed in.
Well, not a lot of people get a plan like that.
Well, now it's become easier to get, like they lowered it's easier to get the income-based payment plan now. And then but yeah, you're right. Not a lot of people work in public service, and that's one of the benefits of working.
How much is it total that you still have?
Oh, I mean, total, if I were to pay at the rate I'm going, it would take at least like 30 years. I mean, I have like 50,000, which is not that bad. I mean, a lot of people I know, especially if they went to grad school, are in like the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Was for like, I went to school for 5 years total. No, yeah, 5.
I was too busy to book a guest, so it's just you and me.
That's fine. Who are you going to book?
Like Andrew or maybe Tim.
Yeah, I mean, this is cool. I'm fine with it. Because aren't we going to mostly talk about my jury
It's going to be a very special episode.
The hard-pressing interview. All right, I'm going to put the link out, because there were some people that were interested. I don't know if they're going to be around, but I told them I'm going to tell my story. Hold on. So everything else is good?
Yeah.
Working.
I can rest, because the last couple of days sending out, I don't know how to package for shit, so I did it around Duncan with our stuff at work. And
well, that's good.
And this guy, I had to go get craft paper because this guy wanted his posters special.
Yeah, people are really crazy about how you package the posters.
Yeah. I hope I did find a little dent, but I'll let him find that. And the Gremlins one.
That'll be fine. Hopefully.
Because the same guy bought both posters. So I just need one tube.
That's good.
It was like Harpo Marx trying to wrap them all up. Should have seen it. And do you know who knows about craft paper?
Who?
Nobody. Everybody I asked has never heard of it.
I had to go on a whole quest when I was trying to ship. Well, somebody was shipping a poster to me, and then he told me about it. And then when I was shipping, I sold a poster. It was because I had a duplicate Mondo, and I had to go on a whole hunt.
Yeah, Michaels had them, but even the people at Michaels
Yeah, they
didn't know what
don't.
it was called.
Yeah,
They're all
I
a
ended
bunch
up
of
going to
tans.
Aaron. I ended up
Tan.
going. I ended up going to Aaron Brothers, and there was like this super like cool. I could tell she was like into posters and stuff, and she helped me out. I saw one of our own. Sometimes can sniff it out. And, yeah. All right, let me just get this set up here. Okay, so do you want to? We're gonna record. You're all set for doing that.
Yeah,
All right.
ready.
All right. So we'll just let's do it on 3. I like that. We started doing it on MBWS, and it seems to work better.
Okay, on 3.
So 1, 2, 3, and
Wait, is that it?
no, I was just like 1,
Okay.
2, 3, and click
Okay.
on the 3. Got it?
On 3. Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise we might as well just say 1, 2, 3, 4. I was thinking about that, and it's kind of silly. Cool, man. I came up with a good crypt creasy. If we want to do that, but maybe
Okay.
we should save it for maybe if we were going to do like a Halloween episode. I don't know.
We better just do it this time.
Okay. Because I think I've told the story, but not in its entirety.
You got to remember to put the music. Last time you didn't remember.
Oh yeah, the music. Well, I don't. Okay, I can find it. It's just like
It's definitely 10 times funnier with the music. Everybody tells me that.
Okay. Do I have to do the voice the whole time? Because this is a long
Yeah.
story. Oh, maybe. Maybe I
Yeah, you
shouldn't.
do. I mean, you can't take away what works.
Okay, we'll do a Crypt Creasy after I tell my heartfelt story of jury duty. All right. All right. Well, you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Recording. All right, ready to go.
Okay. Live from the internet, it's Popsicles.
What number is this?
92.
Wow. The year of Batman Returns.
Yeah, big year.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Man, I remember renting that summer and just feeling like, ooh, this is naughty. That was but also like it's really boring because I was like, there was like boobs and stuff, but it was also like, this is boring. I remember being very bored.
But they made a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, they did. I didn't know
I think it's
anybody
the
that owned
only
that game.
Francis Ford Coppola. No, Godfather has a video game.
Yeah, but that
So
was way later.
yeah, but still, it was based
I mean,
on his
that was
movie.
when I guess Coppola needed more money. Coppola
And I
is
think the Rainmaker game is in development at Ubisoft.
It's like a point and click discovery adventure.
Yeah, there's a rights issue. They can't get Danny DeVito. Anyway, did you play that game?
The Bram Stoker Dracula game? I don't think
Yeah,
so. I
you're
think I
Keanu
saw
Reeves.
I saw like things because I was a big I subscribed to like Electronic Gaming Monthly and Nintendo Power, and so I remember seeing things about it. But I also like just I don't think I had any interest because that movie for me was very boring.
Yeah, but because it's the Halloween season, we can talk about it. The poster image of that stone demon.
Oh yeah,
And the blood
it's
font.
pretty terrifying.
That's what people remember from it.
Of
Because it was
course.
merchandised really heavily. There's the video game. It was a very iconic look, that red robed, like
Yeah.
white wig Dracula.
I
Because it
remember
was
getting
parodied on The
scared.
Simpsons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That Simpsons parody was definitely like how I was super because I think I watched that Simpsons parody before I even watched the movie,
Yeah.
maybe, and I was like, "What's up with that butt hair?" And then seeing it, and Gary Oldman, it's just something else. Like his Dracula, it just
He looked like Arliss Lovelace, but I guess they stole the Arliss Lovelace look from him because that was
yeah
after. They gave him
yeah.
sunglasses. I don't know about anachronistic sunglasses in movies. I don't know.
Well, those they were like they were kind of like John Lennon sunglasses, but they were a little
They
bit
were
more.
round.
Yeah, and those were very hot at the time. around that
It
time
was it's
period.
the '90s rounded sunglasses look is coming back.
I've seen
Oh.
it. I've seen it around.
You'll see it in Ukaipa in about 10 years, but right here,
Well, I
um,
was just watching. I want. I almost because my brother I think had a pair of the rounded sunglasses and he wore them all the time. And then I was just watching that Beatles documentary and I'm just looking at John's glasses and I was
thanks
like,
for your
I wonder
Hulu.
if I could pull that off. I don't know if I could pull that off.
I'm
Um,
tempted to use your Hulu for other things.
you can use my Hulu.
Okay,
We're
thanks, man.
bros. We're Hulu bros. I mean, I don't just don't mess with my watch list.
I won't mess with. I did look at it.
You look at my watch list and
You know,
I mean,
it's
it's like
diverse. It's not. It's more stuff.
pretty diverse.
Is there any
There's
other? There's wrestling stuff on there, right?
there's some wrestling stuff, but then there's also like other stuff that I'm watching and
Hold on, I
some other
have the TV
things.
open right here. We'll go through Brendo's Hulu watch list. But while we're waiting for that, they did change the Dracula story to be more of a romantic thing because the book isn't like that. And the 1931 Bela Lugosi
I
film is
feel
not.
like I started reading the book in like English class, and then I don't think I ever finished it because I was like, oh, this is like that boring movie.
And it's not as sexy. Nobody's fucking werewolves in
The
the.
werewolf fucking thing like blew my mind. Like as a 13-year-old, 12-year-old kid, I was just like, oh, whoa, what is this?
Yeah, no Matt Benson today.
Yeah,
He.
Benson, it's his mom's birthday or dad's birthday, some
Oh,
birthday.
okay. So
But
it's
he's
just
been a very busy boy. I don't know.
yeah. So no whatever the name of that game we called, and that's okay because there's no tomfoolery on this episode because it's a very special episode.
We called this the Larry King interview, is what this is.
This is the one I'm gonna send to the Peabody Awards and the Humanitas people. Okay, I got your watch. Is this stuff that you marked to watch or that you've already
Well, there's
watched?
like season because like now they have it all in one thing. There used to be like a queue where you could have like your queue, and that now it's all just one thing. So I have stuff that I'm watching, and then like old shows that I'm trying to go through, but then like it'll pop up when there's a new episode of the stuff, like the
Okay.
current stuff, and then
So
there's some shows in there that got canceled that I refuse to unfollow just out of reverence. I don't know.
the next it says there's a new episode of SmackDown Live.
Which I don't always
So
watch on Hulu.
if I watch that, it'll not say new
No,
episode
it
anymore.
won't say new episode anymore, which is fine because but you know,
I won't mess with that.
I still know when there's new episodes of stuff usually, but I don't know if I like this watch list thing because it sometimes I miss stuff because it doesn't always pop up at the front.
There's
I don't know.
Workaholics, 90210, X Files, Lucas Brothers Moving Co.
Yeah,
Saved by the Bell of the college years. You're going through that.
I was starting to go through that, and then I kind of took a break because it's not good at all. It's real bad.
But that
It's
theme
so
song is
goofy.
great.
Oh, it's the best. It's my favorite. I like that theme song a lot. The thing that it
And when
brought
that
me
Tom
right back
Cruise
though.
movie came out, I was singing that all summer long. I'm standing at the edge of
To
tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Today.
today. It does that like fade out. But yeah, I love watching it though because I remember when it came on, like it was the primetime show.
Yeah.
And
It was
that
a
was
big
like it was
the Disney Adventures fall TV preview. That was a big deal.
So that was a big deal because I remember they aired the last episode of regular Saved by the Bell in prime time, the graduation episode, and then it was like watch the college years, and I was like, holy fuck, the college years, and it's like a prime time show, and like so I had to like that was another show I had to tape because I would tape 90210 and that one because I wasn't always allowed to stay up late enough to watch them at a very early bedtime. But if I was at my dad's house then I could watch whatever I wanted. That's usually I remember I have very specific memories of watching Saved by the Bell the college years in my dad's apartment because I could stay up late enough to watch it. And then that was the seed of like false college dorm rooms. Like college dorm rooms in high school, I mean in TV shows and movies are bullshit, but the most bullshit dorm rooms are the ones in Saved by the Bell, the college years, because it's like this crazy suite where there's this giant living room with a kitchen and like a giant TV. It looks like an apartment. And then there's the guys' room and then there's a girls' room. So like I'm like, this is all college gonna be awesome. I'm gonna share a suite with some girls. We're gonna have this big party living room that we could have parties in. And then even the like living quarters are like really nice. And I lived in a triple my freshman year, and let me tell you, it did not fucking look like that. It was tiny and shitty. Just real shitty.
When you watched the college years in your dad's apartment, was it like, this is not my Saved by the Bell, and this is not my original home, and it was just like an artificial feeling?
I don't know. At the time, I was into it, and now going back, I was like, ugh.
Okay,
it's not
so
that
there's
great.
the OC.
But at the time, I was still like, I just was very much like, I love Zach Morris. He's my guy, and I'm gonna follow him to the ends of the earth.
To give you context, that show and Boy Meets World came out the same year, and Boy Meets World is still on the air.
I didn't really watch Boy Meets World when it first came out. I mean, I've never been like a huge. I mean, I watched it sometimes, but I was already kind of moving on. It was heavy 90210. That was also the year that 90210 started college. So,
but they started college, and little Ben Savage was in the 6th grade. Now he's teaching the 6th grade. That's how long ago their college years was. The OC, Scream Queens.
Yeah,
I Shield.
So I've been watching Scream Queens. This season's, I don't know how I'm feeling about the show now.
I watched some Goldbergs, and it was hard to watch.
I love Goldbergs. I love it.
And that kid is like older now, so his voice is...
Yeah, but they incorporated that into the show, and they made jokes about it. Like, I think it worked pretty well.
Bob's Burgers, Last Man on Earth, South Park, Main Event, what's Total Divas?
That is a reality show about the women of the WWE. It's really good.
Are they like throwing drinks at each other and stuff?
They're doing shit like that. They're on the road. They're having issues.
Pretty Little Liars, The Mighty Boosh, and The Muppets, and Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Very diverse.
That's what I got right now.
Right. Enough fun. It's time to... Now, is this an exclusive story? You haven't done this on Radio Brendo Man yet, right?
We've talked about it. We haven't talked post since I finished on Radio Brendo Man, because I couldn't tell any details what was going on. We just kind of joked about it. The whole thing about... We joke about on Radio Brendo Man because, like, lately on Radio Brendo Man, I feel like there's this weird thing where we'll say things that end up coming true, like we possibly have killed people.
Who did you kill?
There was a couple. We're talking about the Big Lebowski, and then like he died. Like we were talking about that actor, and like a week later he died. When we talked about when we started making fun of Marmaduke, like Brad Anderson died like a couple weeks later.
Speaking of that, are you still asking people for money to pay for that stone?
Yeah, man, we already got one brick. We're working on getting a bigger brick. What's happening?
How come it was only $24? How come you couldn't fit that?
Well, it's $56, and we could, but we want our fans to participate, and they want to participate. They want to be a part of it.
But did they get their name on the stone?
Well, it's a Radio Brendo Man. It's just going to say Radio Brendo Man. It's going to have our logo and our website on it. And they'll know. They can go visit it and take their picture, and we give them a prize. If you take your picture in front of the Radio Brendo Man brick, you get a prize.
Is that the incentive?
I mean, it's also just being part of something. No, it's not a Kickstarter. We're just sending all the money to the charity. Okay. It's like we're passing it along. And all the money goes to charity.
So you have one brick.
Yeah. But we're trying to get a bigger brick. There's like one that's like 1 foot by 1 foot.
And this is like Disneyland.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's in front of the statue of Brad Anderson and Marmaduke. Like the statue's there.
And where is this?
Right now. It's in upstate New York. It's in a town, Brad Anderson's hometown of Portland, New York. It's near Buffalo.
Now you should start a Kickstarter to send you and Phil there.
I mean, we could, but I feel like that's a little ridiculous.
That I would think is better.
I don't want people to pay for me to go on a trip.
But you'll pay.
I don't mind people paying for like physical things, like when we made our record or our t-shirts and stuff, but paying for me to have some kind of experience seems a little, I don't know.
They're paying for the image of you and Phil, with that
Yeah,
statue and
but
your brick.
I'm not. We're not at that. I don't feel like we're not. I don't know. I don't
Now,
know. I feel weird
I
about
think
that.
that would be the first money I put into any sort of Kickstarter.
Well, I'll take note of that and
And I
maybe.
think other people would do it too. I think people would want to see that. I think Craig from the Res will send you on his own private airline or
Yeah,
airplane.
I know it happens, but I just because we're talking to the guys that do this podcast, Comedy Film Nerds. They're comedians, Graham Elwood and Chris Mancini, and their fans. They actually they one of their fans sent them $5,000 so they could go to Australia to be the first people to see The Force Awakens. So I'm like, if we had a fan just send us $5,000 to go to Australia, but I'm like, I don't know if we're at that level of like podcast fame. I mean, do we have any secret?
But you can try it. And here's the thing. Here's how you do it for fair. You go, here's our Kickstarter, but every episode you give them 5 sick kid Kickstarters alternatives. And if they still want to donate to you, then at least you've, gotten the word out on 5 different kids.
God, how fucked up is our healthcare system that like there's all now that everybody's doing crowdfunding to pay for shit.
It's bad.
Shouldn't that be a sign to people that our healthcare system is fucked? I mean, like this, all these GoFundMe's.
Well,
like,
we're all interested in like racist issues, immigration, that kind of thing. It's good that we're getting serious because what I was getting into
some
is that we
serious
have
shit happened. Yeah, that's I guess
exclusive rights to Brendo's story. You're gonna hear it here first.
Yes,
is Brendo's story. What was that Demi Moore movie? The Final Juror or something? The Juror. Brendo is going to tell us about getting on a jury for a murder trial and being. Were you the foreman?
Yeah. I was not the foreman because I didn't really feel like that was something I wanted to do.
That would be hilarious if you did it, though.
Well, I probably would have been more. I thought the foreman had to read the verdict, but they don't. Because on TV, it always shows the foreman reading the verdict, and I guess that used to be the case.
Did you publicly already say what the verdict was? Maybe
no.
Okay,
I told a couple people.
Story. We'll tell the story, and then you'll reveal it. So you were on a murder trial jury. Yeah, take us to the beginning.
So I get called into jury duty, and I get there
in Ucaipa,
this is San Bernardino County.
Okay.
So we had to go to San Bernardino, which, and it's in like the courthouse is in a real shitty part. It's a real shitty part of San Bernardino. It's like right downtown there. Mm-hmm. And
so what's it like when you're in the jury pool waiting?
Well,
did you think you were going to get picked?
I mean, I thought I was off because I get there and they split us up into groups, and I'm in this group that they're like, okay, group whatever, you don't have to come, you can leave and come back at like 2 p.m. So then I got to like go home and hang out. I went to go eat and I hung out at home and watched wrestling, and like smoked weed.
They should say cool. If you watched wrestling when we send you home, don't come back. You're fine. Just stay home.
So yeah, I get back there and they're like, okay, you need to go up to this courtroom, and we get in there, and
speaking of wrestling, that picture you posted of you and Matt Benson with like a fisheye sort of Hunter S. Thompson, crazy wild-eyed faces. It scared the shit out of me.
Why was it so scary? We're just
that's your primal wrestling face.
No, it was us hamming it up for the camera so we would get on TV.
Okay, it would scare me more if that was a real look. But if you're hamming it up,
chanting. But if you like, the camera guys will come by and tell you to cheer more. So that was us because you got
I'm shocked you didn't look in the camera because you do that a lot.
I didn't want to do that because I knew they wouldn't use it.
There you go. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
So we get in the courtroom and the judge is like, all right, well, this is this case is gonna be, it's got 2 weeks at least, and it's it's a murder trial with special circumstances, which I had read previously that because this is true, they do use the word special circumstances for the death penalty. So I was like,
Mhm.
fuck. And and it turned out the special circumstances were that he used a knife, which I guess makes the penalties more severe. So you have to like, but I had thought when I heard special circumstances, I'm like, oh, this is a death penalty thing. Oh fuck, this is a big
What
deal.
at what point where did you text me? Because I remember getting a text like, just so you know,
Oh,
I'm like 10 people away from getting on this jury.
so that was so anyway, so we get in there and then right away he's like, all right, we're gonna make a big cut first. So anybody that has a hardship, and then the judge was like very specific. He was like, if you have, because I was like, I have tickets to Disneyland in a week and a half, and he's like, that doesn't
You
count.
said that?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what counted because he's like, if you have tickets, you have plane tickets, if you're planning a trip, if you have a thing. And I was like, well, I have a work conference because I have a work conference this week. And he's like, we'll be done by then. At least we should be. So I was like, okay. And then so I was like, well, and then he also said, if you get cut in this round, you still have to come back for jury service. This doesn't excuse you from jury service. So we'll send you another letter in 4 weeks. So I'm like, fuck that.
What is it called? Mickey's Halloween Party? Is that what you had tickets
I
to?
did that.
You should have said full on, I have tickets to Mickey's Halloween Party. It's a very good deal. I don't want to miss out.
But then I freaked out because I'm like, okay, this is like a serious murder trial. The defendant's there, and I'm like looking at him like, that guy doesn't look like a stone cold killer.
You see them?
He was there. The defendant's there, the prosecution's there, they're all there.
But don't they interview you first?
Yeah, the defendant is there for the whole time.
Oh wow.
So I'm just sitting there looking at this guy. I'm like, what the fuck happened? What is this? And I was freaking out because then all these things are going through my head. I'm like, all right, if this is like a serious murder trial, what if this is drug related? What if the cartel's involved? And then I'm thinking about jury intimidation and all this shit. And then I'm like, what if we get sequestered? And we were going to LA Podfest that weekend. So I'm like, what if I get sequestered and then I can't go to LA Podfest? And I can't do anything. And then it's like the OJ thing. And then what if I'm the guy that goes crazy in the breakfast and throwing shit everywhere? And
you definitely would have been that guy, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Also, I haven't spoken to you in a while. That Denny's story you told on Radio Brendo Man was crazy.
But I wasn't in. The guy was going to let that guy go ahead of me.
I know, but if I was there, I would have been like, oh, no. But it was funny, though.
Okay, well, the guy, like the host guy, was gonna seat him, and I was I was already there. I've been there. I put my name in, so I was like, hey. But they both were like, oh shit.
I know. I've been on the business end of the Brendo Man charge. That's why, and I know you were apologetic afterwards, but I know what they've been through.
Well,
he probably came out of nowhere.
Then I felt really bad because the one guy, the customer, left. And I'm like, oh man. And then I was really worried that he was gonna be at the wrestling thing, and then he'd see me, and I'm like, he'd come up to me and be like, hey, you maybe missed my flapjacks. I don't know.
Yeah, I always mind my P's and Q's in a restaurant.
I was specifically, I did, but I just, the sense of injustice flared up.
Because of the food, it's like you said after the food. What are they going to do to the food?
Oh yeah, and that's what I was thinking. So that's why I apologized profusely to the guy. And I'd been in there the day before, so I got the same waiter, and so that's where I knew I was okay because I tipped him really well, and he was very attentive. It was just,
all right.
I was a little concerned, but I didn't. I immediately was apologetic, and I was very like, look, I'm sorry. There's a lot of us waiting in line, and it seemed like he was skipping the line. And
occasionally your fight or flight, Brendo. Remember that airplane story where you thought you were gonna get kicked off, and you're already tallying who you were gonna point at?
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm in there and I'm thinking all this shit like, oh God, what is this, and what's gonna happen, and you know, like, what's going to happen and what kind of trial. And then I'm like, well, and then they're like, okay, well, everybody that's not cut through the hardship thing, you come back tomorrow. And I've never been called back for a second day. So already I'm like, okay, this is definitely serious. But I won't get, because there was like 2 pools of people. There was like over 100 jurors. And then we get there and they've narrowed it down by the time because they called this in at like 11, and they had already had one set of people. So, so we get there and they start picking, and it's like the draft. They bring in they bring in they pick 12 people, and then they start questioning them, and then they dismiss people, and then they put another person in the box and they question them, and that just goes on and on and on.
What did they ask you?
Well, so they ask like they asked about like, do you believe it's ever okay to kill somebody?
What did you say?
We talked, like, everybody brought up like self-defense,
Uh-huh.
and protecting a loved one, and then like they asked like, do you own a gun? How do you feel about guns? So now I'm thinking like, oh shit,
Did
is
you
this
say
shooting?
something like, if it's in the ring, if you're king of the ring
No,
in the cage?
no, of course. And then like, have you ever been a victim of a crime? Do you know anybody in law enforcement? Have you ever been convicted of a crime? And
Did they ask you,
there was a
did they
lot of
know
people
about
that
your
had
arrest?
DUIs. I've never been arrested
So
technically.
what was that? Were you like a transient or something?
I was given a citation,
But they
but I was
didn't
not
hold you
detained.
for any period of time?
No,
Okay. Have you ever
that
been in
would
the
have
back seat of a police car?
voluntarily.
Okay. Were you restrained?
No,
Okay.
they gave us a ride home.
Continue.
Um, but I mean, so I'm just thinking like, shit.
What else did they ask you? Anything
Oh,
juicy?
well, no, I mean, they just asked me like, do you think you can be impartial? Um, do you do you like elaborate on your beliefs about self-defense? How do you feel about the homeless? Like, do you think like this things like that? And talking about drugs and alcohol. Have you ever had any problems with drugs and alcohol? Do you know anybody that's had problems with drugs and alcohol?
Did anybody say anything like revenge killing or like, if
Well,
somebody killed my kid or something?
yeah, there was a couple where he's like, I can't be impartial because my brother was killed by this guy, or another lady was like, the cops killed my brother, and I hate cops. It
Wow.
was like, whoa. Um, and then the other people just straight up were like, I can't be objective, or this one. And then there's like, because it's just this fascinating, because these are just completely random people. They're asking you, where do you work? Are you married? Where does your spouse work? Do you have kids? What do they do? So you're just hearing about these people's lives, and like some
And
of
then
them,
that
like,
guy is hearing all this though.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
he
But I
like
mean,
Alec
like,
Baldwin in The Juror?
they don't know. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know your name.
So, what?
Although they did address us by our names, so maybe.
I mean, if you Google your name, you're gonna find 1,000 podcasts.
Yeah,
Dude, should we get Lindy in on this? He's here.
I don't know. And then you'd have
Can
to record. It wouldn't work with the recording
Oh,
since we're
okay.
already
Well,
recording.
if you wanna comment, Lindy, I will be your voice.
Okay, that's a good. I'm fine with that.
So,
Um,
what's kept you from, saying you can't be objective?
because I
Did you
felt
did
I
you want to
could.
stay? So
It's
you
not.
want
It's not a matter of wanting to leave or stay. I didn't. I felt like I just felt like I can be a good juror, and if I were on trial, I would want a fair juror, and I don't want to lie my way out of this. I just
See,
didn't
you're
feel
a
it.
good citizen that doesn't irk out of his responsibilities as a
Also,
citizen.
my
And
job.
a lot of pieces of shit out there try everything to, get out of
Well, it
it.
was crazy hearing it. Like the judge said, like right off the bat, 50% of people don't respond to jury summons. That was what the judge
Wow.
said. And then he said, and then he's like, and then what he said happens to those people that don't respond is they take a small sampling of that 50%, and then they get in person, like the cops come to your door and give you a summons. And then if you don't respond to that summons,
So
then
if
you
I
can
didn't
get
send
in
my
trouble.
first one, the cops will come?
You put in there's a small chance
Oh, wow.
that the cops, but then so they just deliver you the summons, and then if you don't respond to that summons, that's when you can get a warrant issued for your arrest and shit.
Wow.
But again, it's a small percentage, but it's meant to be a deterrent because you don't know if you're going to get busted or not. But I know people that have never responded to a juror summons, and they've never,
Fine.
nothing has ever happened. But I've also known people that have gotten served because they haven't responded to juror summons. Um, So
And you said your job pays or
my
something?
job pays as a again, I work for the city,
Uh-huh.
so like like they want us to be a good examples, so they pay for the full time, and it's expected of us to
That's not bad.
perform
So
our
you didn't care
duty.
how long it went.
I didn't care, and like and I was just like I'm like, this will be fine, but then
So you
but
could
then
be
I
an OJ guy for a year. But if
could.
that dinner's late though, oh, you better look out for the Brendo.
But then I was freaking out about, like, again, like, could they come, what if like this guy like did a hit for the mob or something, and
Hmm.
then they come after me. And I mean, I've read stories about jury
That happens,
tampering
right?
and
Yeah, juries,
intimidation and
jurors disappearing.
jurors disappearing and shit. That's terrifying. But but once, so we get that, so they're down to like, they've made like a lot of cuts. New people are coming in. I'm like, all right, they found their jury. And then this lady, who the interview was going fine, and then at the very end she was like, I can't do this, my mom just died. And
Mm.
so then she leaves, and I'm like, all right, whoever gets this is going to be it, because I could tell the prosecution defense were ready to, like, get on with the case. And and so and then I just hear my name called, and I was like, oh my god. And so I get up there, and they ask me the questions, and then I
So
was the
he heard
last.
your full name. You said he heard your full name.
Yeah.
Now he knows where you work.
Well, I don't
What
know.
if he can send one of those clowns after you? What are your
Uh,
thoughts on the clowns?
I think the clown thing is pure bullshit and mass
What do you mean it's
hysteria.
bullshit? Like it's been on the news.
Lots of things end up on the news, and they end up being bullshit. Just because kids or teenagers or adults even are walking around in clown suits doesn't it's stupid. The fact that, like, people are even paying, like, I get it, clowns are freaky, but like, this is
But
like
they
a.
are showing up. I mean, they're not doing anything, but they are appearing.
Yeah, but then a lot of it is hearsay, and you actually read the stories. There's like, and it's wasting police time.
What if this is building up to your big adventure where you
And then
finally get
people
over
are
your
just
fear of clowns
randomly
by
beating
fighting
up
clowns?
clowns. I don't know. I'm fine. This isn't. I don't know. I don't think
Is
I'm
this
really
helping your
afraid of
fear?
clowns. Yeah, because this is so dumb. Like, oh no, a
That's
guy in a
interesting.
clown suit. Oh,
That
like, and
is
then like, and then
unnerving.
it's just. But it's just. I don't know, and it just seems like such a waste of time. There's so much other, like, way more important shit people should be freaked out about.
Andrew
But it's
says that he
easier to
saw a
be. Yeah,
video
I've seen that video
of.
too. I mean,
I haven't put a
I
link in
think
the chat if you have it.
I don't, because then you're
Saw a
gonna play the
video
video
of
and it's gonna fuck
people.
up your.
Well, I'm not gonna play it now, but I saw it said he says I saw the video of people beating up a clown because he stopped their car. He saw it on
That could
Snapchat.
also be a hoax again. Like, I feel like a lot of this is just kids being stupid. And then it doesn't help, because like the school I work at, they were passing out flyers to the kids to bring home saying, "Don't be afraid of the clowns." So of course the kids are reading them and just being like, "Ah, clowns." And
What if
they're
it's
all freaking out.
what if it's like an arachnophobia type adventure where you're John Goodman?
I don't know. I don't care.
Well, you're gonna have. I have a feeling that you're all very soon.
You're
You're
gonna what?
fighting off. You're gonna have to answer the call very soon, where you're like fighting off clowns to save your kids.
Nah, it's fine. I don't think that's a real thing.
Okay. Anyway,
But so, yeah, the guy. But I mean, I don't want to spoil the ending. But I'm feeling fine. I'm not worried. Because so I get picked, and then they pick the alternates. So I'm
hmm
like, oh, I'm on this jury. This is happening, and then they tell us to come back tomorrow, and they start the trial. And then I had to tell my school, I'm like, hey, I'm a juror in a murder trial. It's probably going to be 2 weeks. And so that was kind of, and and it was like, even it was just like, they just, all they told us, like, just don't talk to anybody about the case. Like,
did you bring a little notebook? I know some people like
no,
to
they
write
give you
down.
notebooks, and
Okay,
you can't take any notes with you. Everything stays in the courtroom.
but do you get what happens to it after it's over?
They destroy it.
Oh, so you can't publish the Brendo Man
Well, I
notes?
mean, you can go home, and because like I know somebody in the OJ trial got dismissed because then they were going home and writing about the case, but that can be counted as you speculating and doing your own research. which I think one of the guys was doing for a book, and then that's why he got dismissed. So I just
So what
didn't.
did you write down? What's an example of the Brendoman notes?
Well, I was just writing down things that and they tell you, the judge tells you, like, make sure you're paying attention, because a lot of people spend too much time trying to take copious notes, and then they're not paying attention to the demeanor of the witness or about things. So I would just, when the guys, when when a witness would get up and say something like important, I would write it down. Like, they were at this location, they saw this, they said they saw this, they didn't see this.
So did you feel you paid attention?
Yes, absolutely. Because one, it was just like, I want to hear what these people are saying. I mean, and again, like, so we get there, and the nature of the case is this: it's not a like who done it, like, oh, this guy is being accused of killing this person, and
Before you get into that, at any point did the judge say, "Sir, do not try to tag people on the Nintendo DS in the courtroom"?
No.
Okay, good.
I didn't bring my DS into the courtroom. Oh wait, I guess on the first day I did, because I had my whole like suitcase, because I was there I was hunkering down for a day. I had my laptop,
right.
But then after that, I only brought my phone, and then, like, you got to put it on silent when you go in the courtroom, and you can't have it out in the courtroom.
So tell us what the case was, the broad strokes.
So it was, the defendant was a homeless man, in his 20s.
The defendant was a homeless man. I didn't know that.
Yes, they were both homeless, the defendant and the victim.
Okay.
And he.
Oh wow.
So this took place there was outside of a Rite Aid in Colton, California, which is right near Riverside.
I've been there.
And so this guy, he was
a white, black,
homeless,
Hispanic.
Well, the defendant was Hispanic and the victim was white. The victim was a little older, and so basically what happened was, this homeless guy, he regularly came to this Rite Aid to, like, sit outside and ask for money, and he collected cans. He was a can collector, and that's how he made his money to pay for his heroin addiction, because he was addicted to heroin since the death of his mom. Both of his parents were dead, and through the course of the trial, we learned that he had been living with his sister, but then he started doing heroin, and we didn't get all the details, but she kicked him out, and that's when he was on the streets. And so it's already like a sad story, because I'm like, fuck, dude, like,
wow,
like, like, this guy has a hard life, and he's just trying to make it in the world, and I mean, and it just, I don't know, I felt really bad. And again, he was young, he's like 26, he's just a young guy, and so
how did he look? Did he look cognizant, like he knew what was going on?
During the trial, absolutely, like, because again, like, this happened in 2014.
This happened. So he's been
in jail for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So, like, that's how long it took to go through all the motions and setting trial dates and collecting evidence and getting, for the defense, because normally they have the right to have a trial within 60 days, but usually that's not enough time to put a case together and to do everything. So they waive that right. And because I
probably had a public defender.
Yeah, his public defender, who was actually a really good, like, it gave me a lot more, because I always thought, like, you think of public defenders and you just think of, like, these, like, just like, but I think a lot of the public defenders do it because they like to do it. And this guy, he seemed like a very upstanding guy. I mean, he wasn't like a sleazeball or anything like that. And then there was a deputy district attorney that was prosecuting the case, and it was a lady, and they were both really good at what they did.
Did any sparks fly between you and any of the people in the trial?
No, I mean, there was our jury was probably like half ladies. There was like a teacher, a librarian, an old nurse lady.
Picture like a black guy, a Chinese lady.
I mean, yeah, it was a pretty diverse. There was a dude. I hit it off right away with the foreman because he was into video games and he was my age, but he's a trucker. So I mean,
did you wear a wrestling shirt?
No.
Okay, you dressed nicely.
Well, I wore a graph because the first day I wore it dressed nicely, and then I saw like they have the dress code on the thing, and it said you could wear t-shirts. So I was like, well, I'm gonna wear t-shirts then. You just can't wear shorts. And because I started talking to this guy on like the first day because he was wearing it was a Fallout themed T-shirt.
If I saw that on my trail dray, I'd be very worried.
I don't know. So so basically this homeless guy was outside.
Did the DA have any like Marky Post-esque like quips with the John Larroquette like public defender?
No, she was like very. It was. She is like she was from Texas. She had like a Southern accent, so it was almost like a very traditional prosecutor. Like, it felt very traditional. You're breaking up.
Did the judge do any magic tricks?
No, he was very no nonsense.
Okay, continue.
So so they're outside the right. So this homeless guy's outside the Rite Aid. The victim comes up, who's also homeless, and he basically he started bothering the defendant, and but according to testimony, they just saw two homeless guys talking to each other. They didn't. Nobody saw like the start of the fight.
Who were the witnesses? Just people going.
Well, there was a lady in her car directly in front of them, like parked right in front of them, but there was a pillar blocking her view, so she could see the defendant, and then she could see like the profile of the victim when he kneeled down and squatted in front of the defendant guy. And and then the next thing that she saw was they both stood up and she saw fists, and they started fighting. And at some point, then they ended up in front of her car, and they were basically ping-ponging between her car and a car parked right next to it.
Oh, Jesus.
And, yeah, I mean, like, I can't imagine what it would have been like to witness this. And she said that before they even got to her car, the victim was yelling, "He's stabbing me." And what ended up happening was the defendant stabbed the victim 11 times. Wow. 3 times in the chest, which ended up being fatal. So then at some point they separate, and then the victim goes and sits down, and the defendant goes and sits down. This is according to witnesses. And then somebody had flagged down a cop because the cops were patrolling that area, and cops comes, and defendant tries to get away on his bicycle, so the cop grabs him, puts him in, handcuffs him.
So that was pretty quick. Did he stick around then?
He stuck around until the cop came, and then he tried to get away. And because he didn't.
Who were the other witnesses? Was there any like Rite Aid
employees?
There were some
people that came out of the store. Like, there were 2 dudes. The other witnesses, there was the old lady, there was the cop, then there was the detective in the case, and then they had 2 dudes that came out that were there to get ice cream. They got the Thrifty ice cream.
That was my next question. Does this Rite Aid have a Thrifty's ice cream?
Yeah. So 2 of the witnesses, they heard somebody yelling "bum fight," which is awful, and they ran out of the Rite Aid before they even got their ice cream.
Were they ashamed of that, or
they felt that they seemed a little bit kind of ashamed, especially knowing that one of them died. That was, but the reason why they ran out there is because they heard, "Oh, their bums are fighting." And by that point, I mean, it was already over. And then the other witness was a guy that was like 50 feet away. So he also didn't see the start of the fight, but he heard the guy yelling, "He's stabbing me," and he heard the old lady honking her horn because she honked her horn to try and get people's attention. And then the cop came, but it had already happened. But so he started doing CPR on the guy because there was just blood everywhere. Like, one of the cars that they slammed up against, because we saw pictures and there was some video and other stuff, and there's just blood everywhere, like all over the car, on the sidewalk, and then they had
over her car.
Yeah, well, no, the car next to her. Her car got dented because the defendant got slammed up against the car. So basically, this dude got stabbed 11 times, and there was a fight, and the defendant was claiming self-defense because he said that he didn't start stabbing the guy till after the guy slammed him against the car. But the evidence, one, showed, because he's like, "I was afraid for my life. He really messed up my back." But they took pictures of the defendant afterwards, and the only wounds he really had was he had like a bloody lip, but that was about it. Whereas the victim, one, looked like he was losing the fight. He had multiple bruisings on his face and all the stab wounds, and there was no problem with there was no bruises on the guy, the defendant's back or anything. So his story just didn't really jibe with what actually happened. But it was still, so our whole thing was after they presented this whole case.
So that took 2 weeks to like listen to everybody and stuff.
It was like 3 or 4. It was like the trial itself was like 4 or 5 days, where they were like, it was like 3 days of actual like interviews, and they got the opening closing statements. And so I think I told you this already, but the thing that like sealed the case for us, because given the testimony and the evidence, it was hard to determine who started the fight, because that's one of the key determinings if it's self-defense or not, and what kind of self-defense it is. So then the last thing, the prosecution's ace in the hole was this interview video with the defendant, because I had noticed that the defense, like, that it didn't seem like the defense was gonna, like, he wasn't gonna testify. And I found out why, because they had this video. And so the video, they interviewed him after, and he waived his Miranda rights and just talked to the cops, which this further showed me that you should never, ever, ever do that. It's a horrible idea. Even if you...
What does that entail?
Well, you know how like they tell you like you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. All you have to do at that point is say, I would like my attorney, and then you don't have to say anything. That's it. That's the end of that. But instead, this guy just started talking to the cops, and in the course of that interview, he said a couple things that just I couldn't get out of my head. Where one, he said that he started the fight.
Okay.
He kicked, basically he punched the guy in the leg while they were both sitting down. And then that's kind of what started everything. So he started the fight. Then he also said that he had multiple opportunities where he could have gotten away, but he didn't, because he wanted to assert his space, and he was mad at the guy. And I'm thinking, this does not sound like self-defense to me. This sounds like he was pissed and he wanted to assert his, it was a territory thing, because like he basically was like, well, you stabbed him multiple times, like after, and he even said after the first time I could have left, but I didn't want to. So I'm like, well, that's it. Like this is, but it's still like what would you, because I keep thinking like, what would I do if I was in that situation? What if I did, if somebody pulled a knife on me, or if I thought that I was like in peril and I carried a knife, which I don't, but like I don't know. So we were having, so basically, so then once they present their case, then we go into the jury room, and we have 3 choices. Either we acquit the guy, which means he acted in self-defense. 2, it's then the next step up would be imperfect self-defense, or which is manslaughter. So manslaughter would be either imperfect self-defense or it was done in the heat of passion, which heat of passion means he acted in a, like, you know, he was in a fit of passion, but any reason, and then the caveat there is any reasonable person would act the same way, which I'm like, no, fuck no. Like, that's crazy. So it's not heat of passion. And then the harder part was determining if it was imperfect self-defense. And we were on board with imperfect self-defense at first, because it was like the defendant thought he was in peril. Sure, okay, I can believe that. But he was not correct. Like, he was incorrect. So that's why it's manslaughter, and that's why it's not a full acquittal, because he thought he was in peril, but he really wasn't. But then there was a last bit of clause. This is why they give you these instructions, and you really got to read them, like what the law says. And so the last part of that imperfect self-defense, and this is where we ended up going with second-degree murder, because the last part of this imperfect self-defense says it cannot be imperfect self-defense if the defendant started the altercation that led to, you know, what happened.
So you all get into the jury room.
Yeah.
And how does that deliberation go?
Well, it went a lot. I thought there was going to be someone right away that's like, he's fucking guilty, or no way am I ever going to do this, which I guess happens a lot. But we had...
How long did it take?
we had 2 full days of deliberation. Well,
Oh,
no,
really?
it was like we had an hour and a half and then a full day and then another couple hours and then we delivered our verdict. So, because here's why. Because again, like,
They don't want you to come out like after 15
yeah.
minutes.
And also this wasn't done in cold blood. It wasn't premeditated. And there is a lot of, at first, when like just on the surface, I'm like, oh gosh, this has to be self-defense. Cause like, just like it's a fight gone bad. But 11 times is very excessive. And then when that interview was just like, that was it. But we start off with, is this pure self-defense? Is this, so we started out at the bottom, like presumption of innocence. That's a really big thing that they emphasize. And so we started at the bottom, like, is this self-defense? And we went through it and they said self-defense is if this happens and this happens and this happens. We were like, no, he wasn't in mortal peril at any time. It wasn't like he was ever on the ground. It wasn't like he was not in mortal danger. The other guy wasn't armed, and there wasn't a point of like where he would be in mortal peril. So we're like, no. And then we go to imperfect self-defense. And that's where we were about to be like, I think this is it. I think this is what it is. But then we read that last part where it said, if they start the altercation, then you can't rule that. So we're like, all right. And it's not heat of passion, because a reasonable person would not act the way he did in that situation. I don't think so. I think a reasonable person might have stabbed, if you had a knife and you're in a fight, and if what he said was true and he felt like he was in peril, even if you're in peril, I just don't see a point where you're going to stab somebody 11 times and not try to get out of there. You know?
Is it weird to like argue this stuff with strangers?
Yeah. But I mean, it's very, but you got to take it seriously, and everybody did. And so we're talking about that because there was some people that were like, I just don't see how this could be manslaughter. And even when we wrote it, and we wrote these out, like, here's what manslaughter is. We're like,
What was
I
your
don't know
job?
about that.
Were you writing on the board?
No, I helped set up the computer that we played the interview on. Because they had this really old computer and we were trying to get it hooked up to the TV, and I used my IT guy skills.
Did they give you food?
Nope.
So you break and you go to the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And
we got an hour and a half for lunch, which was great. But we would go off. There was like this diner I found right nearby that was really good. And
did you make any friends?
I mean, I befriend the like I said, the foreman guy. Yeah, we talk. We're still talking.
Did you bring any Radio Brendo Man? You're still talking?
I gave him my Radio Brendo Man card, and then he added me on Steam, and we talk on Steam.
Wow.
He's a cool guy. He's a trucker.
So give us the vote. How does the vote work?
Okay, well, but it's not like we do a vote just to see where everybody's at. Like,
and even if it's all unanimous, you still have to keep talking?
Well, we hadn't gotten to a point where we all thought it was one thing. Like, again, we were hovering between like manslaughter and second-degree murder. But once we all went through together, like, we were all kind of filling in some gaps. Like, some people had like more copious notes, and they're like, well, this is what, and we let each person go around and talk. And I think that's where the foreman did a really good job, because they let everybody talk. If somebody was talking too much, they'd be like, we haven't heard from this person in a while. What are you thinking? And he did a really good job of kind of keeping it where, like, what are you thinking? And that's where we started going through like each process, because we felt like that would be the best way to do it. And so we went through each part of the law. And then when we got to murder 2, where it was like this, because there has to be this thing they call malice aforethought, which is basically where there's a district. I don't have this all written down. I'm sure you can look it up, but there's like, you have to have there's multiple things that have to be in play here. And we went down the list, and we're like, yes, the victim used a deadly weapon. The victim had basically a disregard for human life. And you have to go through these things. And it came down to, like, when one, he had a knife, which that's there's a deadly thing in play now. And when you're stabbing somebody 11 times, I think it's safe to say you have a disregard for human life. But that's, again, like, people were very weary because it was never presented that he wanted to kill this person. And that seemed like plausible. Like, but he acted in a way where that it still was with disregard for human life, and in a way it was malicious because he wanted him out of that space, and he said so, and he started the fight. So we're like, it can't be involuntary, it can't be manslaughter. So if it's not manslaughter, then it has to be this, and here's why. And after a day of going through that, we were ready to all agree with that. And so once we all agreed, then we're like, all right, we got our verdict, and then we turned it in.
Okay.
And the hardest part was that there was, like, towards the end of the trial, the victim's family was there, and some of the defendant's family, and they interviewed the defendant's sister. It's very emotional because I think what I kind of inferred is that since he's been in jail, they've kind of been very close, and it seems like she's been probably visiting him a lot. And because holy shit, when we gave that verdict, and as soon as we said guilty of second-degree murder, there was an audible gasp, and I thought it was of happiness from the victim's family, but they were not there when we read the verdict. It was from the sister, and she was very upset, and that was hard to watch. But I was also like, well, I understand, but I mean, in my head, I'm like thinking, like, your brother killed somebody, and he totally didn't have to. Like, this did not have to happen. And that's where, but it's just very emotional. And again, like, seeing, I mean, like, it's just so, like, this was awful. And looking at the crime scene photos and all that blood and the stab wounds, and hearing the coroner go through it, stab wound by stab wound, it's fucking awful. And these are, but it's just, and also just like, this never had to happen. And that's what's really unfortunate. So
what do you do after all that?
Well, then they read the verdict, and then we go back to the jury room, and they ask if we want to. The attorneys, both the defense and prosecution attorneys, come in, and you can leave. They let you know that you can leave, but I'm like, no, I mean, I want to hear what they have to say, and so they asked us if we had any questions about the case, because now there's certain things they can say, and the first thing we asked the prosecutor was, like, what do you think the sentencing is going to be? Because we're not there for the sentencing. We're not part of that. And she said,
"Do you find out?" I guess you have to look.
Well, it up. You can look it up because they gave us the case number. But she said, "Do you really want to know?" And we were like, "Oh shit!" And because again, this is something you have to live with. Like, you did this. We convicted him of this, and but the minimum sentence is 14 to life. So he'll get 2 years time served. And then she said, given the current state of the system, and he had a clean record before this, and, you know, like the overcrowding of the prisons, and if he's a model, because again, this guy, he's not a violent dude. It was very clear that he wasn't a violent person. They had a lot of character witnesses, and just his demeanor, even during the interview, and the way he talked to the cops, like, it wasn't like this. I don't, like, this guy's not a killer. I mean, he killed somebody, but I guess he is a killer, but he's not. Yeah. So this was second-degree murder. So she said probably he'll get out in 14 years. It's possible because he'll start getting parole hearings like within a few years, but it'll probably be like 14 years he's looking at, and that's a long time to go to prison, man. Yeah.
And he knows your name and everything, and knows where you work. So in 14
but again,
years,
he's
you gotta get out of that.
I don't think, I'm not worried about that, to be completely honest. He seemed very remorseful in the interview. He knew he was probably going to prison. There was never a point where he was just like, I'm innocent, I didn't do this. Like, that none of that happened. And he didn't seem like a violent person. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if he wants to, I guess if this is a Kill Bill situation, like, if you still feel bad in 14 years.
What happened to you now that you're not afraid of clowns and you're not afraid of retribution like this? Did something happen in this last year where you're just like, come bring it, come at me, bro?
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm still scared of dumb shit. Like, I feel I'm always scared I'm going to wake up and there's going to be something standing over my bed or some shit.
Well, earlier this week, the girlfriend of somebody that got fired at my work said, "We have an extra burger. Do you want it?" And I definitely was like, "What if they poison this burger?" But I ate it, and I think I'm fine. But I thought, what do they do to this burger?
Yeah.
Also, quarter pounders that come in the box look like the ads now. They look perfect. There's the day of smushed burgers is over.
What did they like? Tell them to stop smushing the burgers.
I guess. And McDonald's is in like dire straits. That's why they're offering the breakfast all day. Now that's why the biscuit and the McGriddles are back.
I don't like their fancy new combo system.
How does it go?
Well, because now it's like you get to like you order by like you want like what kind of bun do you want, what kind of this, what kind of that, and I'm just like I just want a number 3. God damn it! I don't know because I always ordered the burgers combo and it's not even on there anymore. But luckily, a lot of them like they still have it like in because at first I'm like, did they get rid of the fucking 2 cheeseburgers combo? And but it's in another part of the menu. I don't know. It just seems I'm like you're not Chipotle.
Can that be our? Can that be? Is it McDonald's own Chipotle? They are Chipotle.
That's not true. That's a myth. It's not even true.
Can that be our new bumper at the end? I just want a number 3. God damn it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll think through. Grab that. But yeah, it was it just.
So
I don't know. I mean, I've had a really I would say it's a life-changing experience because I saw the justice system in action and it seemed to actually work. And
so hopefully, what do you feel when you get home that day?
Well, while the trial was going on, I would be in my car crying.
Really?
Just because it was just horrific seeing what this crime was and what happened, and then I just felt bad for both of these guys. I felt bad for both of them. I put myself in both of their shoes. I would never carry a weapon. I've been attacked and one time I punched back and one time I ran away. So I'm 50-50 with the fight or flight. And one of them happened when I was 12. So I feel like 12-year-old Brendo might have been a little bit more aggressive than me now because when we got jumped when I was with Phil and some of my friends, like I ran into the street.
So you ran into the street. You left Phil or Phil left you?
Phil was in a more directed way trying to get a cop flag down, but he also tried to reason with the guys, which was very Phil.
That is a Phil thing. Like, come on,
like, guys, we don't have to do it. Yeah, he was very like,
what were they doing? What's that story?
They were punching our friends in the face.
They just came out of nowhere?
I told this story. I told the story on I think the first Popsicles where it was the night we went in the tunnels. We did our whole Goonies thing in the tunnels, in the sewers. Yeah, the sewer tunnels by our school. And when we got out, we'd been down there for like 2.5 hours and I was fucking thirsty. But we were in our school was in a not so great area, and I probably should have been more aware of that. And it was probably not a good idea to try to walk to, I think it was like a Rite Aid or a Stater Brothers or something that was like just a few blocks away from our school. But it was like 1, 2 in the morning. And so these guys, first they passed us. We were going one way, they were going the other, and we intersected. And then they were like, "Hey, you guys, can you guys buy us some beer?" And none of us were 21, so we're like, "No, sorry." And then they passed us.
Well, you should have then countered with, "Can you buy us some beer?"
and then they passed us, and we didn't. But then they stopped and turned around, and that's when we were like, "Oh fuck!" And that moment where they turned around, and then they come up alongside us, and I was freaked out. And then just one of the dudes just punched my roommate in the face. And then
this person, who was it?
No, this
was it Josh?
No. This is way before. This was me and Phil and my roommate Steve, and then another one of our friends, Jeb. And Steve and Jeb like full on fought these dudes. Phil's trying to reason with him. He held out his flashlight, and I remember they knocked it out of his hand and broke his flashlight.
His Goonies flashlight.
And
his bully blinders.
And I ran into the street trying to wave down a car, and luckily a cop car came. But by then they had took off. It was right by the cemetery in La Mirada, and they took off into the cemetery. Cops did not even try to chase them. And they were like, "You guys should not be out here." And we were like, "Okay." And that was pretty much it. But that happened, So when I was thinking about these two guys, and then I just think about like this dude fucking died because he was a little drunk and he bugged this dude, and the dude was coming off heroin, just a recipe for disaster. But it was so stupid, like it just unnecessary, and that made me very emotional. And now this guy's gonna be in prison for 14 years, and he's a young guy who at some point probably had his whole future ahead of him, and then just a bunch of bad shit happened, and that fucking sucks.
If Radio Brendo Man is around in 14 years, would you interview him?
I'd maybe. I mean, I'd be down for that. I would like to talk to him, but I don't know if he would want to talk to me. Because that was the other thing that happened. So we were walking out of the jury room to go home forever, like when we were done, and I guess the defendant's family was sitting there waiting to talk to the attorney or whatever, and the look from his sister was stone cold.
To you guys?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And that's where I felt horrible.
But not like the cool way Stone Cold Steve Austin looks at you. Like
she was muttering some things under her breath.
I can't handle it when, like, if I'm a pedestrian and I let somebody drive away and they like yell something at me. I can't handle that. Just think about this.
I know. But I don't know. It's just kind of.
Was she like your age? Was she pretty?
No, she's like I think she looked like she was like in her 40s.
Oh, okay.
She's just a lady. I mean, I don't know.
But at least one relationship got started through all this.
Yeah. But I mean, it was there was, and then like the guy that I thought was gonna be like the problem juror ended up being a really cool guy, but he was like probably.
Why did you think he was gonna be a problem?
Just because he was very outspoken, and right away it was just like here's what I think, and I was like, because I thought he was going to strong arm some of like the undecided people, which he did not end up doing. He let them come to their own conclusions, and he was a really cool guy. But he like imagine a 55-year-old Vin Diesel, and that was this. Like he sounded like Vin Diesel, he looked like Vin Diesel, just like an older
writing or dying.
Like he was just this kind of badass dude. I don't know. But he ended up being a really cool guy.
So that sounds like quite the adventure.
Yeah, it was just really intense.
When you do this, do they give you like an extra pass? Like you don't have to be on a trial again ever or something?
Nope.
Like they could just pull you again next year.
I think because it seemed like because they pulled a bunch of people and they ask you if you've ever had jury service before, and if so, what was it for and what was the verdict? And I think they look for jurors with experience because we had like 6 people that had been on jurors before. And like our foreman and then the other lady and like so I think they're looking for that, or they want a mix of that.
This is your first trial?
Well, this is the first time I'd ever been, because I got to where I was like, they had picked the regular jurors, and then I almost made it as an alternate, but they only needed 2 instead of 4, so I ended up getting cut. And that was for a DUI, so it was like just that would have been like in and out type of thing. But this was, I never had anything close to this.
So I don't know if you're changed per se, like if it challenged anything, but it definitely affected you.
It just seeing what that kind of violence looks like was fucked up. It was fucked up, man. I was when we went to Disneyland like during the trial, and it was the day I had just seen all those crime scene.
Oh well, you looked like you were having a good time though.
Well, it was really much needed, but things were a little. I almost got in a big fight with Phil and Janelle just because I was in a really shaky mood.
About what?
I don't want to get into it.
But I do if you can do it.
No.
What was can you brush what the issue was?
Well, I didn't want to drive there, and they didn't, but they didn't really. I was trying to see if they could give me a ride, and I tried to push it a little bit just because I was not. I felt like I was not.
Work out.
No. And there was no right or wrong, and there I was definitely I pushed it a little too far, but all that was going through my head was like, I just saw what a guy that got stabbed 11 times looks like. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be in my car by myself. it just led to, it just got kind of ugly. And so then I'm like, I just want to go to Disneyland with my friends. So I'm just going to just tough it out. And I did, and it was fine. And it was good.
Wow.
But again, like, it was just this crazy dichotomy of a man's life is in my hands, but and then you see, like,
Did you enjoy Disneyland then with all
yeah,
that going on?
yeah, it was a very much needed distraction. That's
You
for
didn't
sure.
come back with any like ears on you, did you?
No,
Did the judge go, "How was Disneyland"? Did he like mention that ever again?
no, he didn't. I don't think he remembered.
If I was a judge, you'd be Disney boy or every time I referred to you. Did anybody react when you said that in public?
Somebody laughed.
That's funny. Did anybody else give any weird things that weren't excusable?
No, I mean, I left pretty early in that part, so I missed a lot of that, because some people were saying, like, then afterwards, people were saying I couldn't believe some of the shit people said to get out of jury duty, and I'm like, oh, I missed all of that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I heard a lady just straight up say, basically, like, I can't, like, she just said I can't be objective and didn't even give a reason. They're like, fine. Because I guess because it was a murder trial, they didn't want anybody that would remotely, like, fuck it up. So they were and they had a huge pool. So they dismissed a lot of people.
Well, you did your duty as a citizen, and it was hard. And I mean,
and work
people
is
try to
crazy.
get out of it, and you did it, and it was hard. And so we commend you and your service.
Yeah,
officially, that's the popsicle stance on things.
I appreciate that.
I can't speak for Benson. I don't know what Benson would say, but I'm saying this.
Well, thank you.
I wonder how Benson would react to all this, because he's kind of the color man. He's the Bob Euchre of the podcast.
I thought that was you.
Well, no, he's the one that just adds the color. I run the show. You're the driving. You're the jaws. You're just the driving force of nature, and he gives the color. That's the dynamic, I think.
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if Benson's even been called to jury. Andrew said he would ask about farts. I don't know how.
What does that mean?
Like, just something silly. Like, did you, like, I don't know.
Well, now I think we're going to be a water cooler show. That was our cereal.
That's it.
So
you think I should find this guy in 14 years and, hey, remember that time I convicted you of murder? You want to be on my podcast?
I mean, you could I would listen to that, sure. I think that you can file this one under true crime, Brendo.
I could call him in prison. I don't know if I could do that.
You might want to let that pot simmer a bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are we going to talk about? Because I mean, like, again,
it could be like you and Truman Capote, Truman Capote in Cold Blood. You could be like,
but we know he did it. It wasn't even like a question, and I mean, know what was going through his mind because he said so. I mean, he was coming off heroin. He didn't want this guy around, and he said he'd never stabbed anybody before. Like, he had his knife to like cut cans and ropes and stuff, but he also claimed that he didn't think it would kill anybody, and this is like a 4-inch blade. And I'm like, well, there's only like this much between like your like heart and that, and that's like, I don't know how you couldn't think that wasn't a possibility, especially when you do it 11 times.
What other genres of podcasting should we try? Like that those historical ones that just talk about being in Rome, like POV. Should we do that?
That's a thing.
Yeah, like there's like a Roman one where it just talks about life being a Roman
what
guy.
Would we talk about?
Well, you can talk about I don't know, Oceanside in 1990, like it's like it's your diary or something.
Yeah, I could do that. Brendo's junior high days.
Well, if it was that emotional for you, I thank you for telling your story here, putting it on wax.
I needed to talk about it on this way because for a while it was that was the hardest part, was not being able to tell anybody and not being able to tell the details, and I, that was hard because I couldn't.
Do you
talk
feel
about
better?
Anybody. I feel better. Getting talking out there. I mean, that's kind of one of the things what we got to do with the attorneys, because they were asking us like, what was the deciding thing for you? and like, what was this? And we kind of talked it over with them, and that was kind of, it felt like, a debriefing kind of thing, and that was good. But I could tell, I don't think the defense attorney was bummed, but I mean, like, he also was emotional because I think because he'd been working with this guy for 2 years.
Yeah.
He was really close with the client and his family.
Well, to decompress the situation, I don't know how easily we could switch those gears. I think you're about to break the clutch. We have it's Halloween time.
It is Halloween time.
I don't know if we'll be able to record
I have a
before the end of the month.
Crypt Creecy.
We have a Tales from the Crypt Creecy. How come you couldn't tell that whole? You should have told your whole jury story in the Crypt Creecy.
I don't think that would have been appropriate. And then I saw the stab wounds. It was terrible.
Well, now you're Peter Lorre. You have to go into Crypt Creecy mode.
I forgot. I know. I can't.
Just do your best, Crypt Keeper.
Oh, shit.
I just watched Casper in the theater.
Yeah, I saw that. What the...
that has some of the best cameos.
On Saturday.
It was a special charity screening.
Okay. At the New Beverly, or where was
it? At
this?
the Vista Theater.
Oh, I've been there. It's a nice theater.
Some of the best cameos in any movie. Do you remember?
I don't think I've ever seen Casper.
You've never seen Casper?
No.
Well, when they're trying to get the ghost out of the house at one point, Dan Aykroyd comes out in full Ghostbuster gear.
Holy shit.
And he's like, who are you going to call? Someone else. And then he runs out of there. You missed the Ghostbuster cameo.
I guess I did.
And you never even heard of that?
No.
Wow, I'd feel bad if I were you, knowing that was out there and I didn't know about it.
I guess I feel bad.
And at one point, the ghosts go into Bill Pullman and his face morphs into Clint Eastwood and Mel Gibson and then the Crypt Keeper. So the Crypt Keeper
actually Clint Eastwood and Mel Gibson?
Yeah, they have lines. I mean, because it was a Steven Spielberg.
How did they get Clint to do that?
It was a Steven Spielberg production. So
I guess I'll be a ghost, Steve. Sure.
Yeah, so he calls and it happens. Father Guido Sarducci is one of the people trying to get the ghost out of the. Where is he from?
SNL.
Do you remember him?
Yeah,
SNL. I don't remember that.
He was that guy. The guy that played that was one of the main writers. What's his face?
So he was a writer.
It wasn't like one of the regular cast members. It was one of the writers that played him.
That cameo really hit with the kids. Let me tell you, they know exactly.
That was already
that was.
like that's like from the early '80s part of the show.
Yeah,
that's really.
And you notice when movies try to make a wide berth for people shouting or laughing, with a long pause. Like there was a long walk for him onto the camera. Like, oh, everybody's gonna be going nuts that Father Guido Sarducci is in our movie.
Yeah.
Also,
okay, I'm trying. I don't even remember the voice now. Shit.
You've never seen it, but Devon Sawa is live action Casper at the end of the movie. And it does not it's not you can't have like a little
like a boy?
Yeah, you can't have a nerdy bulbous boy and then turn him into Devon Sawa at the end of the movie.
So he like becomes a real boy?
For a night. I'll let you watch the movie to get the details, but Devon Sawa was live action Casper.
Welcome to the Crypt Keeper. I don't even remember how I did that shit.
That's it. Okay, so we got a Halloween. I haven't
Crypt Creecy. Crypt Creecy is here.
All right, it's been a while, Crypt Creecy.
Hello, welcome everybody to Tales of the Crypt Creecy.
What have you been up to?
Well,
collecting your crypt tales.
Collecting the crypt tale. I've been rehearsing this one.
How's it like tale. Just collecting stories about the Brendo Man?
Well, he has a lot of fucked up stories, so it's very amusing. The poor guy. Sometimes I feel bad for him.
Okay, I won't.
This one is a bit of a sad tale.
Okay,
but also very amusing.
All right, let's get to it.
Did you hear that M. Night Shyamalan is bringing me back?
Well, that's the real Crypt Keeper, not the Crypt Creecy.
My cousin, the Crypt Keeper, and maybe he'll bring me on for a cameo.
That's gonna be pretty boring, right? It's gonna be not fun and straight laced. I doubt that M. Night Shyamalan's gonna do like gory, fun type things.
I don't know. He might. It might be. He copied "Are You Afraid of the Dark"? Maybe it'll be "Are You Afraid of the Dark"?
Okay, that had the Midnight Society.
Well, you know, The Sixth Sense is a ripoff of a Are You Afraid of the Dark episode called The Dream Girl.
Oh wow. Okay, enough minutia. Why don't
That
you get
is
into your
true,
tale?
my friend Eric. Okay,
Okay.
this is the story of This is the story of Little Brendo and the last Halloween.
The last one ever?
The last Halloween for our friend Brendo.
Okay, because I know that Brendo doesn't like to wear costumes anymore. It's kind of a thing, so maybe this will explain it.
Not really, but it will.
Okay.
It was Halloween,
What year?
1992.
Okay.
And Brendan and his brother and his neighborhood friends, they lived in a very sweet neighborhood when it came to trick-or-treating, because it was a long hill. And on that hill, there were 4 cul-de-sacs. Just imagine, every house was full of candy. It was a candy paradise. And
You
they'd
can
been
add some
doing
puns, like, or were they called a Drax?
what?
Draculas? I don't know. The Crypt Keeper has puns. Go ahead.
It was a very spooky neighborhood for the tricks. It was a ghoulish delight. And Brendan and his friends had many years of great trick-or-treating, but this year was different because Brendan was in 7th grade and he wanted a new challenge. And that challenge, past their neighborhood, there was another neighborhood. It was the rich neighborhood called Monarch Hills. And that was the golden calf of candy. There were rumors of full bars, and some house gave out dollar bills, and even a rumor that there was a walk-through haunted house. But these were only rumors for the kids of Palacio Street. But we came up with a plan, and because previously Brendo had been foiled because halfway through his trick-or-treating the year before, he had to go to the bathroom. And he had to run home very quickly. And it ended his trick-or-treating because once he's inside, his mom said, now you have to help pass out candy. So
already it's scary, the story.
Brendan and his brother came up with a plan. They would find friendly houses along their route to Monarch Hills, which was a few blocks up from their street, and they established a plan. They have a friendly house where they can have a bathroom stop.
Or how come Brendo just couldn't go to the bathroom before he went trick-or-treating?
You never know at this time in Brendo's life. He sometimes had to go to the bathroom, like drop a number 2.
Okay.
I don't know. He just had diarrhea sometimes.
Scary.
Scary.
Add a lightning crash right there.
Yeah.
All right.
So
practical.
They had this plan, and also that part of that plan was also getting rid of those, because back in the day you had either those plastic bags or, now I sound like Strong Bad. I don't know what that.
Go ahead. Don't break character.
They had the plastic bags and those pumpkins from McDonald's. And it was time to graduate to the pillowcase. So with this plan and their bathroom stop, and but there was one other problem trying to get to Monarch Hills. The Monarch Hills, I don't know if it was because they were rich and these kids were bored or what, but there was a high bully concentration in the Monarch Hills. Like bad bullies. One of them was
just like a Tolkien tale.
Yes. One of them was named Sasha, and he used to just beat the shit out of kids on the bus. And so we were all very scared. So Brendan and his brother got some other people in on the plan. So we had strength in numbers. So this was our ghoulish group of trick-or-treaters ready to go on an epic journey up into the Monarch Hills.
The fabled Monarch Hills.
They got up there, and all the tales were true. And because they had strength in numbers, they were able to avoid the bullies, and they got out of there before the high school kid. Because we also had in the neighborhood, if you were trick-or-treating after 8 o'clock, it was like that Bob's Burgers where the high school kids come out and just come fuck shit up. So you had to be done by 8 o'clock, or else you kids would come fuck your shit up.
So you got the full bars, you got the
We got the full bars.
mazes.
We got up there. There was a fucking maze. It went through somebody's house. It was
Like Roseanne.
so wonderful. It was.
But I bet the tale
wonderful.
doesn't end there, does it?
They made it back safely with their bags of candy, and Brendo was having visions of dumping out his bag and doing a Scrooge McDuck dive into that giant pile of full bars. And excuse me, it's very musty in my crypt. But it was very late, and his mom made him go to bed, and so him and his brother they hid their candy in.
Okay.
They hid it. They hid it in
Sierra Madre-esque tale then.
They hid it in we had these end tables in their living room, and they hid them in the cabinet in the end table, and they were like, our candy cord is safe here. And it was it's a wonderful evening, and they slept wonderful dreams of caramellos and
Fifth Avenue bars.
and candy corn and whatchamacallits till as far as the eyes could see. And Brendo woke up that morning, and he was full on ready to do his Scrooge McDuck dive into the candy. And they went down the stairs, and the first thing Brendo noticed was some candy bar wrappers.
Lightning crash.
That's a little strange. I wonder who's been eating some candy. It's not me, Brendo thought to himself, and he opened the door of the end table, and there was no candy. And he opened the door for his brothers, and there was no candy. He runs up and he's screaming, Carson! Well, actually, he wasn't Carson yet. He was still Andrew, little Andrew. And he said, Andrew, did you take our candy? And he said, no. And then Andrew starts freaking out. Where's the goddamn candy? And they start accusing each other. And then they notice
Sierra Madre.
Then their mom comes downstairs, and she's like, what's all this yelling? And Brendan and Andrew they say, our candy, you stole it. And the mom says, no, but your candy is gone. And I'm very sorry. Your candy's gone. It was not something happened to your candy. It was bad. And Andrew and Brenda are very upset. But the mom Creecy says, here, I bought you all this candy. But it did not feel the same to young Brendan. Did not feel the same because he hadn't earned this candy. This was just candy given to him from a bag. Felt like false candy. And
so what happened to the candy?
Years went by. Brendo got older. And eventually, through talking to his mother, and he put some pieces together. And turned out Brendan and Andrew had an older cousin living with them named Kathy. And she was in her I think she was like in her early 20s. A very beautiful young woman who ended up having some
never
problems.
Accused.
Never
Was she
accused.
accused that
Well,
day?
it turned out what had happened was Kathy this is how Brendo found out what bulimia was.
Oh my god.
Kathy had eaten all of their candy. Every
Both
single
bags.
piece. Both bags. And Brendan's mom tried to cover it all up by buying them candy, and needless to say, Brendan never trick-or-treated again. He was so despondent. Actually, he tried to get another plan together to go back to the Monarch Hills, but the next year his mom and dad told him, son, you are too old to trick-or-treat. And they made him stay home and give out candy. And he had to watch. Right. And he watched the Simpsons Halloween special by himself, and that was okay. He wasn't scared. But then he had to watch the Martin Halloween special by himself. And at the end of that Martin Halloween special, it turned out Martin's apartment was haunted by a ghost. And Brendan was by himself, and he got very scared. But that's a story for another day. But that's the story of the last Halloween for little Brendan.
Oh, well, thank you, Creecy. That was, I don't know how to feel about that story.
I know, it's pretty intense, right?
Can I talk to real Brendan now?
This is real Brendan. Hello.
Okay. So, did you hear the purging?
I think my brother claims that he did, but I don't know if he's making that up.
There could have been like werewolves because it was Halloween.
But I don't know. She must have been really good at doing it on the side because I had no idea. Yeah,
So
my cousin was bulimic and ate all our candy.
So not only did she find your
She
hidden
found the
booty,
hidden candy stash.
she ate
All of
everything.
it. Everything.
That's crazy. That's a crazy story.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
Wow. That's
Every time I drive by that Monarch Hill sign, that's all I think about is that one year we made it up there.
Well, it really is the journey, right?
Yeah. Except I had so much fucking candy, and it was like I just
Did your mom buy you full bars?
Nope.
What do you do now? Do you just buy a bag of candy for yourself?
Well, what I do now, except this year I didn't have to because we went on the Disney trick-or-treating. That's why I loved trick-or-treating again. I finally got to go trick-or-treating again. I mean, to be fair, one time in college, I went with Phil and me and a bunch of our friends went to Beverly Hills and trick-or-treated, and we got a lot of weird looks, but they gave us candy anyways.
Do that? That must be like, people must do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, because it was crazy. Like, I mean, like, we got money. We got full bars. We got all kinds of candy. Aaron Spelling personally gave me a full bar.
Did you know? Did you know that was his house?
Yes.
So
I was like, we're going to the manor because it was that fucking crazy manor in Holmby Hills. And I'm like, oh, we're fucking going. And he was standing outside dressed up and he giving out candy.
What was he dressed as?
I don't remember. Just like Dracula or something.
So Teenage Brendo personally got a Mounds bar or whatever from Aaron Spelling.
Yes.
You are a Forrest Gump like character, man.
I stuff happens.
Well, thanks for that Halloween story. Adults get
any
to
good Halloween starts.
Like that?
At Disneyland, it's adults, kids, and you just go through. They're called treat trails, and they're just people. And there's all this like good candy and snacks and stuff, and they had like bags of that pirate's booty and some of the other stuff, but all tons of candy. My favorite candy that they gave out this year, I'd never seen these before. They were Yoo-hoo bars, and it was like the creamiest. It was delicious. It was like so creamy.
That's all inclusive. You pay and you get the candy for free.
And Phil and Janelle and the Vecchio kids came away with like at least 20 pounds of candy. At least. I had 2 full, they're like medium-sized bags. Like not that little, but pretty little. But I filled 2 full bags full.
Did you bring your pillowcase?
I didn't want to be that guy. Because you could bring outside bags.
There was a man in our street that I couldn't tell you what was wrong with him, but something was wrong with him. And on Halloween, he would come with his family, not dressed up or anything, but he had his plastic bag out. And my grandmother she was the one that would like make taffy and put them all in those little bags, like the kind you throw away.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
but I like the memories of the little bags. She would buy the little bags, fill them up with taffy.
My favorite episode of Freaks and Geeks is the Halloween episode, and the mom makes those cookies, and then they're like, they're telling the kids not to take unwrapped goods. They're all outside your driveway is just covered in the cookies. Then the mom gets all depressed.
Do you get trick-or-treaters coming to your door?
Well, that's the thing. Like, so the last couple of years, I'll buy a bag of candy, and then nobody comes, and then I end up eating that bag of candy.
Do you dress up?
Halloween.
Do you have Dracula Brendo cape?
I don't want to dress up and scare kids. That's not my...
Well, if you just have like a cape, just do the Aaron Spelling thing.
The only thing I have now is I have that priest outfit from the Smog Castle.
Kid doing his you dressed up? I don't remember that.
Remember,
I vaguely
it was the only thing they had left at the fat guy section. And it was like a priest. It was just a black robe with like a priest thing on the neck, and so I wore that. And
I was
Well,
like, I'm a
someday,
gay priest.
someday, some guy's gonna come up to your door and do his space podcast in 20 years and say, "I went to the manor. I went to the Brendo Manor, and Brendo Man himself gave me some fun-sized Snickers."
Well, if I have Brendo Manor, then yeah, I'll be out there passing out candy. I remember there was a house
Do
in our
you give out the
neighborhood.
full bars?
I can't afford full bars.
I know, but you gotta pay it forward, man. You can
Well,
go to Smart and Final and buy a box, in bulk.
why don't you do that?
I'm just saying.
Do you give out candy?
No, nobody comes around here. I'm
I don't
usually
know
out
if
drunk
people
somewhere.
trick or treat anymore. I don't know.
Me
I mean,
either. I never see anybody around except for like neighborhoods like
now
in
it's
Burbank.
all like trunk or treats or going to the real fancy neighborhoods or doing like some other thing. I don't know. I don't know. I would be bummed out because I loved trick or treating. Like again, like coming up with those plans, and when we came up with that perfect fucking plan to like,
Well, the plan was just
we had a
have a
bathroom
place for
stop,
Brendo to shit.
and we traveled in numbers. And that way we didn't, because you always have like, if you do too few people, eventually somebody's going to wuss out or like have to go home. So we had like a big group and we made it all the way up there because it was all the way up the hill. And then we get in there and it's just like every house. It's big houses, tons of candy, just crazy town. And then the bullies weren't out yet. We got home before the bullies came out.
Your story did remind me of the Nick Arcade. Remember what was the little icon's name? And sometimes
Mikey?
you would walk into a space and there'd be a bully or something shoving a pie in your face.
Well, because it was like the thing where after 8 o'clock, like all the high school kids would just come out and TP shit and throw pumpkins everywhere. People's pets would go missing on Halloween.
God.
Like my friend, my neighbors, like their cats got killed one year. I remember it was awful.
That's I don't condone that.
No, I don't.
What
either.
is it? Why do kids have to do that? That's crazy.
I just remember
Did you have
like
any high school Halloween stories where you were the freaks breaking pumpkins or something?
1 year, my friends and I tried to go trick or treating and we got shut down immediately, so we stopped. So that's why.
By who?
Just
You're
like
just
the
shamed?
first, like right away, the first house we went to, they're just like, get the fuck out of here. And we
What were
actually
you dressed as?
different WWE wrestlers.
So a bunch of sad, dejected WWF kids just coming down the driveway, going home.
So it was
A
like
couple
before,
of years ago, some friends of mine, or one of them, was in a group of people dressed up as like NWO people, and it was like in Hollywood, and they saw a bunch of like a rival wrestling group across the street started yelling at them, and they got into like a fake fight.
That's funny.
Now that's a cute story that you'd want to be a part of.
I mean, in high school,
Who were you?
I think I was the Undertaker. Yeah.
That would be a great picture with you with the long hair.
Because I was Undertaker, my friend Guion was Razor Ramon, my friend Rui was Stone Cold. I forgot who else. Yeah, because my friend Guion had like the Razor Ramon vest. And
Get the fuck out of here. Did he really? Was his curses?
what?
What, did they curse at you?
Oh yeah, well one guy did. They said get the fuck out of here. So that's what we were just like, all right, because our whole plan was to go get some candy and then go to the football game. So we ended up just going to the football game early. Because it was like
You should have done that thing that bartenders do and put a little candy already in your bag. Like clearly people have been doing this already. You might as well just keep going.
that's what I did when we went up to Beverly Hills. We like seeded you seed the candy. Like when you're homeless too, do the same thing.
Now, do you get to go with like Phil's kids?
Yeah, well, we've done that the last few years. We go, but they don't even go house to house trick or treating. They do because we do the Disney. They do the Disneyland one, then they do a SeaWorld one, and then there's a thing at downtown Redlands where you go around to all the stores, and they get plenty of candy for that. So they're usually pretty worn out. But I think
they don't even do Halloween
this year. They might want to do it. I think
Wow.
they're going to want to do it.
Again, those kids, remember they would go to Disneyland every week. Imagine Halloween coming and you're like, I'm tired of trick-or-treating by now.
I know.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, but I mean, I don't know. This year Halloween's on a Monday.
Well, it's better when it's on a weekday because, it's fall. You come home, you get in your costume.
I remember I loved wearing, because like I remember, because now like I don't even think they're allowed to wear their costumes at school.
Remember Halloween parades?
Yeah, dude, that was like the biggest thing, and I fucking loved it. That was like the highlight of my whole fucking year, was getting to walk around with their costumes on. I remember in kindergarten and first grade, we actually walked from our school through the neighborhood. It was like a whole big thing.
You left campus.
I fucking loved it.
My last Halloween, I don't know, actually I'm not sure. But the last extravagant, I think I've told this story, last extravagant costume that I had, I showed up as Spawn, like a full-on flowing cape. I had the big collar, and it was 6th grade. So, only 6. You got at least till 8th grade.
Yeah. Well, 7th was the last year.
And somebody was like, "Who's that? Let's get him." And so I had to like escape, and then I couldn't take my mask off because they would.
No, it was
and
you.
then I would get. Yeah, so I had to like hide for a while,
Oh my
and everybody
God.
else at that point was just wearing like hoodies with masks, like a Jason mask or something. Everybody was kind of over it, so I was shamed for my elaborate Spawn costume.
Yeah, I never had like super. I remember one year I wanted to be a Keystone Cop, and that was like where we actually went to a costume shop. That was probably my most elaborate costume. I don't even know where I got that idea. Probably from Looney Tunes.
That's pretty lame. You probably wanted to be. What was the name of the Cookie Crisp cop?
Maybe the Cookie Cop. I think it was just Cookie
Yeah,
Cop.
you wanted to be the Cookie Cop. You should do that this year.
Because I remember
Does
I wanted
Phil
to
dress up.
Phil does not really dress up. He does have a costume.
He should be the dog, and you'll be the Cookie Cop. That'd be great.
Phil used to have a costume
Kelly
that he wore every year when we were in college, and then even later. But now he
was
can't.
It like a gym
well,
costume.
Now he
like
can't wear it
two-hole
because it
punch
scares
gym?
his kids. No, he has a Bob Dole mask that he wore for like a political science project when he was in high school, and then he has a cape. So it's just Bob Dole with a cape. And then he has like this little alligator that he carries around for some reason. It's really stupid, but that's all he used to wear it every year. And then it got to be he would wear it just because he knew it made everybody mad. But he can't wear it anymore because it scares his kids. So, and rightfully so.
I think I got the Kellys to be Tim Borland.
Be what?
Be Tim Taylor and Al Borland from Home Improvement. Tim and Al. I think I've convinced them.
You guys went to a hometown buffet yesterday?
We did. Celebrating my night of eBay wins.
But
it was great. Everybody was the whole time dragging their
buffet.
feet, and then they had a great time. And they're like, "I can't believe they have chocolate milk." I'm like, "Duh!" And they went back for like third. Yeah, of course it is.
I don't like that food.
But you go to McDonald's. You're not expecting fine dining at McDonald's. You're just finding like greasy comfort food.
They are building a Golden Corral by my house. I'm kind of excited for that.
That I've never been to.
Well, it's a Midwest one. It's definitely a step above Hometown Buffet, like as far as quality.
Well,
they have like
tall order. I mean, I didn't think anything there was gross.
See, when I went, the one in Fullerton was gross. Like I thought it was gross.
It was Friday night, their big night.
I guess if you go when it's busy and they're restocking the food on a regular basis.
It was only $13.
I just felt like the food had been there all day and it was gross. But Golden Corral has like each night is a different food item. So like they'll have like steak night, fajita night, other nights, and then all the other stuff, and it's like really good. I don't know.
Anything Jeff Foxworthy like does, I don't want to be a part of it. There's a new Netflix game show, like a Bible game show that he's the host of.
I think some people that I went to school with were actually on that show.
Oh wow. Well, I gotta go watch that now. And thank you, Brendo Man. Do we do anything at the end of the show? Oh, we do plugs. Okay.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten what we do on this show. This is a special episode.
Culture Minute and other things, but I don't know. I mean,
we've already asked so much of you. You provided two glorious segments of emotional.
When do you think we're going to do another Popsicles? I guess that's a good question. What's going on with Popsicles, Derek?
We'll try to do it. You know,
are we like quarterly now?
No, we'll try to. You know, now that we've done a few. What was the last one?
The last one was Comic-Con Palm Springs. So
was that in August?
Yeah, but before that, there was a super long hiatus.
Yeah. Well, now that we've got our bearings here, we can keep going.
All right. Well, you can go to benviewnetwork.com to get all the podcasts. Listen to, we've been doing we got tons of stuff at LA Podfest this year from Radio Brendo Man.
Did you talk to Mark Maron again, or was that just
no?
from
He
last
wasn't
year?
there. It was just from last year.
Okay.
We did get some closure to the whole Mark Maron story because we kind of made up with the guy that almost drove Mark Maron off, and he was really cool. But you can hear us talking to people like TJ Miller and Todd Glass and April Richardson from Go Bayside and Sam Levine from Freaks and Geeks. And
did you talk his ear off about Freaks and Geeks?
I mean, we only had him for like 10 minutes, but we talked about Freaks and Geeks a little bit. But
I would ask him about, because he went to the episode 2 line, and for publicity, they were taking pictures of him in the front, and then the line moved, and he butt all of the people that have been waiting 6 weeks in line, and he was in the front. But he felt bad about it. But
I didn't know about that. I would have asked him about that. I also later saw a picture of him doing stand-up when he was like 15 years old at like Caroline's in New York, and I would love to know what that was like.
So you just asked him about Freaks and Geeks stuff?
Well, Freaks and Geeks, and then some other, because he's doing a lot of podcast stuff now, and we talked about that, and talked about just some other, I don't know, general talk. We had Jensen and Matt from Get Up On This. So you just stay in a room and then people come through? Yeah, or we go find people to come bring into the room to talk with. But some people just come in there.
That's cool.
And
they just do the rounds.
It was a really fun time, yeah. We met a lot of cool other podcasters, a lot of cool comedians.
That guy that called you Brando man?
Yeah, Murray, he actually apologized later. He's like, I called you Brando. Because you could hear at the end of the episode, he's like, oh, that's great, Brando. And he's like, Phil, Brando. And I'm like, oh, he thinks I'm Brando. There was also a woman.
Did an episode where it was all about Marlon Brando.
Radio Brando Man. And I did watch that documentary, the Island Dr. Moreau documentary, which was fucking crazy.
Right.
But who else? Well, one of the other things. Another funny thing that happened, and you can listen if you listen to the first episode of our LA Podfest. There's this woman that we interview named Z, and after re-listening to it, I'm like, oh, she thinks Phil and I are a couple. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So listen to that.
Because she's like, so where did you guys meet? And
you're like, in college.
Yeah.
I know you excitedly, like, we've been together for years.
Oh, yeah. And she's like, so how'd you, oh, dude, it's great. It's really funny. Once I listened through that lens, I was like, oh.
Would Janelle kill you if you, like, stole Phil away?
That's not even anything that's going to happen.
I never thought about it, but you guys do look like a couple.
It was really great. There was one of the shows that was also recording in there the whole weekend, and we became friends with. One of the hosts is an adult film star, and Phil acted really weird the whole time.
What was the name?
Draven Star. She's one of those.
I don't know that.
You know the Evil Angel, like the goth girls. Like she's one of those.
Oh, okay.
Girls.
So listen to Phil. Ringing, what is that thing? They pull their collar and
I don't know, but he just was really nervous the whole time, and then like I intentionally left him alone with them so he could be all awkward. It's funny. I don't know.
Sounds like it's jam packed.
Phil got really weird talking to the porn star lady.
So, I think in a previous episode you guys talked about your funeral. Like I have to give it was you being gone. I think maybe for jury duty.
You said so what happened was I thought there was a chance I was gonna be sequestered. So you said you would do the entire Radio Brendo Man,
and that offer stands that I will do an episode of Radio Brendo Man.
Well, we have
completely
in
character the whole time. I think that would be a great crossover. I think I could do that.
And you wouldn't you could do it straight.
What do you mean straight? I would do exactly the same things that you would do, but without
cracking up the whole time.
I think I could do it.
Well, we're gonna put that to the test. You'll just have to wait and find out.
It would be better if it was on camera. I would even hire a makeup artist.
You think you could make yourself to look like fit glasses?
Well, Rick Baker's retired now, and after Halloween, I think he'd be pretty free.
Go to Rick Baker and hold up a picture of me and be like, "Make me into this."
How weird would it be if you saw somebody?
You'd be like my Tony Clifton.
But yeah, if you saw somebody else like really like a Rick Baker made a Brendo face, but put it on somebody else,
That'd be
like
so fucking weird. Because there's that weird scenario where like, because Phil and I used to watch this Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and we'd scare each other by watching it. And there was one where this guy, he calls his house for some reason, and he picks up the phone. So like he's talking to himself, and I was like, "Bleh, that's weird, creepy."
well, I also offer to do your eulogy in character.
I think you would
you
make
ever-
a lot of people upset if you did that.
That's where I would go for broke and like get this Brendo suit and the stilts, and
You just come waltzing in. Hey, everybody, I'm here.
you'd have to leave one of your shirts to me so I could like be in your suit. What if I can't get out of character?
I would leave you
the
the-
problem is.
I would leave you the "I'm so excited, I'm so scared" shirt.
That's if there was a default Brendo Man shirt, it's probably that one.
Yeah.
Didn't it come back to you after years of being lost?
My brother stole it and had it for like a year, claiming he didn't have it, and he had it the whole time. But it was all part of. He had a long prank where he kept claiming he didn't have it, and then the next time I didn't see him for like a year, and then when I went to pick him up at the train station, he was sitting there wearing the shirt.
Oh, Andrew.
He was a very funny Carson Andrew Creecy goofball.
So I'm at Derek Armijo.
I'm
on
at
Twitter.
Brendo Man.
And that's it for us for now.
Yeah.
Benson will be back. What does Benson do? Let's give him his plugs.
He's at Dr. Matt Benson, Dr. Matt Benson on Twitter. He's got Benview on Spielberg. They haven't done a Benson's Boombox in a while. Maybe they're going to do that. Him and Andrew are working on some
Pick
new
your
show.
path.
Well,
Or is it done?
I think they're going to be doing a second season at some point. Andrew left the chat, so we don't know. But you can check all that out at BenviewNetwork.com.
I'm going to try to get My Dinner with Benson off the ground.
I approve of that. I approve of all the new
He's a unique guy. Phil's got a new show.
Got a new show coming up. The Alex P. Keaton is my friend. I think it's going to be starting next week.
They're going to go through every episode of
Family Ties, yes. And he actually he's got his first cast member lined up.
Wow. I want to guest on one of those episodes.
I'm sure he will be happy to have you.
And I want to do the Tom Hanks episode, the first one.
Ooh. Well, you're going to have to talk to him about that.
All right. We'll make
I don't
that
know
up.
because he's lining that up, but you should definitely talk to him because I'm sure he would love to have you.
Okay.
And,
so I guess that's it. If we don't hear you, I don't know. If we don't hear from you from Halloween,
I think we should try
have
and
a
do
safe
one.
have a safe Halloween. We can't top that story though. And this one was filled with like murder, intrigue, spooky houses. Yeah. This was
When
our
are we
Halloween
going to
episode.
Horror Nights?
Don't know yet. Don't have a date. When
Okay.
I know, you'll know.
I just want to make sure.
Somebody asked me to go yesterday, and I said no.
Somebody asked me to go next week, but I'm actually this weekend, but I'm going to be at a conference.
So
And I
so you've
stayed-
been off work a lot.
Yeah, well, now I'm going to
Where are
this
they going to
conference.
send you? Where are you?
It's in Anaheim.
Oh, you're going to be right next to Disneyland?
Yeah, but they used to have these like really cheap convention tickets, and now even the convention tickets are like $85. I'm like, fuck that.
For both parks?
Well, it's more for both parks. That's for one park.
Oh wow.
Because they used to have like these Twilight tickets. And they still do, except the Twilight tickets used to be like $20, and now they're $85.
Well, that's how you know they're doing well. I just read a whole expose on California Adventure and how it didn't work out and blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, it was fucking. You read about that and about because I know you posted something about the celebrity limo ride, which is probably the worst ride in the history.
Yeah, now that I think about it, all the California Adventure stuff that was out as
when it opened
was really
all
cheap.
bullshit.
Yeah.
They
We'll
had
talk
like
about that.
The parades and stuff were just like dumb. Like
You were there. You were there at that time, right? Or after?
Well, I went to visit once, and I was like, ugh. But Phil was. I think Janelle was working there, and Phil went a lot, so they would tell me about it and how terrible it was.
Well, we'll delve into that more next time on 93.
Yeah.
Popsicles 93. And we'll say goodnight to you. You do a sign off here. This is a Brendo-centric episode.
Oh man, you're putting the pressure on. Well, do we have to be like, I'm Brendan Creecy and
Well, I'm Derek Armijo.
I'm Brendan Creecy, and have a spooky time in the town.
All right, I'm stopping here. Good episode. Alrighty.
I thought you were going to ask me like hard-hitting questions.
Well, I just
So
wanted
it's
to know
okay.
about the process.
Okay.
What do
No,
you
that's
think I
good.
should have asked?
I don't know. No, I don't. I think you did a great job. I was just like expecting. Do you think you convicted an innocent man?
Well, that's what do you call it? That's over dramatizing the situation.
That's true.
You think I can't even talk to you about like the wrestling arguments we have? You think I'm gonna badger you about killing a man? No. This was my serious.
That's where I was freaked out because again, like I thought it was a death penalty thing, but the special circumstances ended up being he used a knife. So it was like, so we had to decide that yes, he used a knife, and then I guess it makes a stronger punishment. I don't know. Because I was like, I don't know if I could handle a death penalty case. I don't think I could, because the way the death penalty case works is first you go through the trial part, and then if you convict him, then they go through, then the jury has to stay, and then they basically, both sides plead as to why they should or shouldn't have the death penalty, and that's where you hear like the guy crying on the stand and all this emotional shit. And I don't know if I could deal with that.
Wow.
Especially, well, I mean, and then in California, like, then you know the guy's going to sit on death row like forever.
Wow.
That would have been almost too much. But
could you say you don't want to be a part of that, and then they'll let you go?
I think that's where they definitely would dismiss people if they were like, I think that's where they have to be really selective with the jury. But they would let you know that ahead of time. And they said special circumstances, knife. But yeah, I mean, even still, second-degree murder is a big deal.
All right, I'm exporting now.
All right.
Have it for you soon.
Are you putting it in a Dropbox, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'll Dropbox it. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't locked down a date, but we're going to Delusion this weekend, so I'll probably talk to them this week.
All right. Just
the front of the line tickets are $209 this year.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do that.
Well, that's what made me put all that stuff on eBay.
Because so Mark Ariano said that like he went because they have early entry now, like you can get in early,
and that sucks because not all of the park is accessible, and they're yelling at you. You know,
he said he did 4 mazes before the park even opened. Yeah,
but it's like they're directing you all. You know how you don't like when people are yelling, "Here, go here," and it's all confusing and stuff. It's a mess.
$200, that's a lot.
Well, I'll let you know the date.
Just let me know. If it's after the 15th, I can do it. If it's before the 15th, I can't.
It'll definitely be after the 15th.
Okay. Then I probably can do it. Just keep me posted.
What else?
I'm going to Knott's on the 15th. I've already been once, but I'm going.
Are you going to go to Fright Fest because they have Suicide Squad stuff?
I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Fright Fest, and they charge you extra to go on the mazes now.
Well, all I literally want to do is walk in and get pictures with the Suicide Squad and then leave.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that.
I wish I would.
I don't have that kind of.
I thought they had a maze. I thought they had a maze at first. Well, if we can convince.
I thought it was a maze.
No, it's a scare zone.
Well, that's dumb.
If I can. You and I can contain other people. It can only be $40. We get that group rate.
Oh, they do a group rate?
Yeah.
Well, the problem though with Six Flags is I can't go on a lot of the rides, so I don't.
Well, I wasn't planning because I literally went to Six Flags once just to do the Batman Begins stunt show, and then I left.
That's a lot of money to spend just to do one thing and to drive all the way up there.
Well, that's all I want to do.
Well, then you should do that.
And at one point, I was planning a trip to Chicago to go on the Dark Knight roller coaster they have at Six Flags, whatever.
Yeah.
and then I would leave. I kind of, if they were still up, they knocked them all down for Dark Knight rides. They added so many Batman and Robin themed roller coasters in '97.
Yeah,
As the movie
they were
was
like
coming
in
out,
every park they had.
there was Batman and Robin, the Chiller, which had a actual observatory from the movie, and then the Batman and Robin twin dueling coaster rides. Those I do. Because now they have a DC universe there. It's not just Gotham City. There's like a whole DC land
Oh, wow.
themed area. Okay.
Did you like Suicide Squad?
No, but I'd
Why?
walk through it.
Margot
love those
Robbie
characters.
did a really good job on SNL, I thought.
Yeah. I just want to walk through it. It's not Joker, Harley, Halloween attractions gonna come up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to live it while I have it. Because you know how many Batman stunt shows that I missed that I could only watch on YouTube?
I watched one where a guy, like, it was the original one. No, it was the Batman Returns one, and that makes sense, right? Batman Returns. It would have been Batman Returns.
They had for all movies. They've had them.
Okay, so I watched, I think it was a Batman Returns one, because this would have been around 92, 93. Yeah, I was in junior high, and a guy missed the pad that you're supposed to fall on, and then they had to stop the show, and I was really upset. But then, like, a few hours later, they did another one, so I came back and watched it.
One of the most exciting moments of my life is during the Batman and Robin stunt show. All this stuff is going on, and they're like, "Who's gonna save us?" And then Batman and Robin came down from ropes from the ceiling.
Yeah,
in the amphitheater.
I
I'm like,
remember that
this
one.
is really happening right now.
I remember being very upset that my brother got to see the Dick Tracy stunt show in Florida, and I didn't get to. And I was we were on separate tracks, so I didn't even get to go to Florida. And he got to go, and he got to see the Dick Tracy stunt show.
I found the
upset.
Dick Tracy Easter egg at California Adventure.
What is it?
The car painted
Oh,
red.
Yeah, that car.
It's gas station.
It's one of the cars from the movie, huh?
Yeah, and it has a newspaper inside that says Tracy beats Big Boy. It's like a prop.
I gotta go check that out next time.
That's the whole reason I went to California Adventure. That one time. And now people are telling me other Easter eggs, like in the Cozy Cone. There's one cone that periodically raises itself, and it's Buzz Lightyear under the cone.
Oh, like yeah,
Toy Story.
I've seen that.
Toy Story 2. Now I'm obsessed with Disney Easter eggs.
There's a lot of stuff. There's some Rocketeer.
There's
Rocketeer props.
Really?
In California Adventure. In one of the stores, like in like there's like two dummies that have Rocketeer stuff in like one of those stores on the street there.
There's an Eeyore parking sign from the original parking lot in
Indiana Jones. Yes.
And the hearse, the horse and buggy hearse outside of Haunted Mansion was for the Young Indiana Jones stunt show.
Yeah.
That was supposed to come to Disneyland. Didn't happen.
The urban myth is that it was Brigham Young's hearse, but that's not true.
Who's Brigham Young?
The founder of Mormonism, or one of the Mormon elders. He's a Brigham Young University, which is the big Mormon university. It's named after him.
Did you ride Haunted Mansion Holiday?
Yes.
Did you see the cake? The gingerbread house was like sewing itself together.
Yep. It was a really good one this year, and they had the Sally animatronic. I guess I hadn't been since I haven't been in a while, because you know how it used to be in the elevator where it was just a big jack head? Now it's like a full-on video screen. It's way better.
Yeah, they've done that a few years ago.
Yeah, I haven't been since they added that. So that was really cool to see, because it was just way better. I like it's gotten really elaborate. And I only had seen the Hatbox Ghost once before, and it's just always so cool to see him. He's awesome. Love that thing.
The new Hatbox Ghost is the falling ceiling in Indiana Jones, because it only did it for like a few weeks.
Yeah.
And people are like, is it a myth? Like, did it ever actually happen?
Oh, it definitely did.
Because it was dry ice that would fall from the ceiling to the ground, and then they couldn't figure out how to do that safely anymore.
Yeah.
And there's not even video of it. I want to see video. But now, like, that's the new campaign. Like, bring that back.
Well, that's like didn't like there because there was like the Jaws ride in Florida, the
Used
original
to shoot
one.
meat.
They would shoot like meat up in the air and shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you
man.
went
I
to
still can't believe I was so bummed I never got to do that Jaws ride because it looks so awesome.
if you went to Universal Studios Florida in the year 1990, chances are none of the rides worked.
Yeah, reading that book was just so nuts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so on Buena Vista Street, in one of the stores, there's a guy with the Rocketeer. It's like he's wearing the outfit.
Hmm.
In one of the there's a dummy that's wearing the outfit.
So you're definitely going to Orlando next year.
Well, if it would like I've done some preliminary budgeting, and I might not be able to afford to do that, and because my brother's wedding is the next weekend, so I'm going to be doing a lot. I'd have to fly to Orlando and then back and then to Portland. I don't know if I'm going to have the money to cover that, but I might. So I'm really hoping I can make it work.
All right, man. I'll let you know about Horror
Yeah.
Nights.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you later.
Take
I already
it easy.
started drop boxing it.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Well, have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.